A very good evening and a warm welcome to the Business Roundup on another weekend. We are television bringing you, as usual, another collection of latest happenings and developments in the business arena, easing your decision-making moments. I'm Ashingsani Veerasinghe. Now let's have a look at the headlines for today. Reneging on a 2019 agreement with India and Japan, Sri Lanka decides to develop the strategic East Container Terminal at the Colombo port on its own. Government plans a mega irrigation project to facilitate the feeding of over 2,500 small tanks and expansion of the capacities of the small tanks to retain more water. The government finally instructs the Foreign Employment Bureau to utilize its own funds to repatriate the expatriate labour force who wants to return to Sri Lanka. News in detail. Government last Monday officially announces that the East Container Terminal of the Colombo port will be operated 100% by the Sri Lankan Ports Authority and it will not be handed over to any country for its administration. Temple Tree sources reveal that Premier Rajapaksa gave this assurance after a discussion held with the trade union leaders at the Temple Tree's premises on Monday. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, speaking to a team of journalists in Tangol, had said that the East Container Terminal of Colombo would neither be sold off nor leased out, and therefore the employees at the port who are on strike had nothing to worry. He had also said that the alienation of national assets was not the mandate for the present government to proceed with such policies. Adding further, he said almost all the cabinet ministers were in a view that the ECT should be operated by the Port Authority and not by any third parties. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa told trade unions that a cabinet paper will be submitted to ensure the ECT is operated 100% by the Sri Lanka Ports Authority. Following the recent visit to Sri Lanka by Indian Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, it was decided to award the expansion project of the ECT to Adani Group of India. However, Rajapaksa said that the foreign company which was to manage the ECT had refused to accept a report submitted by a committee appointed to explore concerns over the ECT. As a result, the cabinet paper will be submitted to ensure the ECT is fully managed by the Sri Lanka Ports Authority. Following the assurance given by the Prime Minister, trade unions who had been protesting against the deal with the Indian company decided to suspend the protest. The Sri Lanka Ports Authority was earlier declared an essential service as workers continued to protest against the decision to give a 49% stake of the ECT to India's Adani Group.
ඒක තමයි අපේ අද කැබිනට් එකේදී තීන්දුව ගන්න.
අපිට දැන් මේ වැඩපිළිවෙලේදී ජාතික ව්‍යාපාරයක් විදිහට සංවිධානය වෙලා ඉන්නේ. එතකොට ඒ කණ්ඩායම් සියල්ලම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා මොනවා හරි මේ අපිට මේකේ මාධ්‍ය නිවේදනයක් විදිහට දුන්නොත් අපිට මාධ්‍ය නිවේදනය යනවා. ඒක තමයි. එතකොට අපිට ඒක අපිට පුළුවන් ඒ තැන් වල දැන්
එතුමා මේ ප්‍රශ්නයට මැදිහත් වෙලා කියනවා මේක අපිට දෙනවා කියලා. ඒතකොට එතුමා කිව්වා නම් ඉතින් ඒක ආයෙ වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක මෙච්චර කාල ඔයගොල්ලොන්ට එතුමා කියපු එක බොරු වුණා නම් ඔන්න අපිට පුළුවන් ඒක
ඒ විශ්වාසය අපිට තියෙනවා.
ඒ නිසා බය වෙන්න එපා. අද අමාත්‍ය මණ්ඩල පත්‍රිකාව අපතුමා සංකල්ප ඉදිරිපත් කළා තියෙනවා. අමාත්‍ය මණ්ඩලය අනුමත කරපු ගමන් නීත්‍යානුකූල මාධ්‍ය නිවේදනයම නිකුත් වෙනවා.
වරාධිකාරී අපි සියලු දෙනාගෙන් මිල්ලාගෙන වෘත්තීය සමිතියෙන් දැන් අගමැතිතුමා සියලු දෙනාම ප්‍රකාශ කරා. දැන් මම ගිහිල්ලා වැඩ පටන් ගන්න. මම දන්නවා කොච්චර අමාරුවෙන්ද මේ සර්විසස් ටික අපි තියාගෙන ඉන්නේ මේ වෙලාවේ පහුගිය දවස්වල සිදු වෙන නිසා. ඒ නිසා මේ සර්විසස් ටික ආපහු යන්න පුළුවන් අපි ගාව තියෙන.
Government also asserted its decision not to hand over the East Container Terminal of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority to any foreign country or an organisation. Instead, the government ministers said that the country will invite interested parties to develop a greenfield container terminal in Colombo port. Weekly cabinet media briefing was virtually held and all three cabinet spokesmen made clarifications over the controversial plans to hand over of the East Container Terminal of the Sri Lanka ports to India or any other country for the administration. Cabinet spokesman Minister Keheliya Rambukwala said Cabinet had decided the ECT will remain under the control of Sri Lanka Ports Authority.
Minister Udayagamma said inviting investors for the West Terminal was in line with the manifesto of the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, and also added that no formal decision was made to abrogate an existing deal with India and Japan to develop the ECT. However, he further added that estimated $700 million for the development of the ECT will be made by the Ports Authority using its own funds and going for loans from local banks.
As a matter of principle, the cabinet makes a decision on policy. The policy states as that the East Terminal will be administered and managed by the Ports Authority. That is that as of now.
Yeah, Minister,
and in respect of the ECT, the Minister of Ports mentioned in the cabinet paper submitted last night that it would be developed in 3 stages within 3 years in full.
Now that there is a tripartite agreement, how would you proceed in abrogating that agreement? Would you negotiate with the 3 other 2 parties, or would you just make a statement, or would you issue a letter to them, or how are you going to have this divorce with the other 2 partners?
No, yeah, it will be dealt with the Ports Authority and the Minister concerned and the Foreign Minister. Ministry will deal with it. Those details we cannot divulge at the moment.
Department of Census and Statistics announced that Colombo Consumer Price Index decreased to 3% in January 2021 from 4.2% in December last year. Census Department also adds that food inflation decreased to 6.8% in January this year from 9.2% in December in 2020. The change in the CCPI measured on an annual average basis decreased to 4.3% in January 2021 from 4.6% in December 2020. Monthly change of CCPI recorded at 0.51% in January 2021. Data issued by the Department of Census and Statistics suggests that this was due to price increases observed in items of both food and non-food categories. Moreover, monthly changes of food and non-food categories recorded at 0.29% and 0.22% respectively in January 2021. Accordingly, within the food category, prices of red onion, coconut and sea fish increased in January 2021. However, price of big onion recorded a decline during the month. Meanwhile, prices of items in the non-food category recorded an increase during the month, mainly due to price increase observed in the health payments to private hospitals subcategory. The core inflation, which reflects the underlying inflation in the economy, decreased to 2.7% in January 2021 from 3.5% in December 2020. However, annual average core inflation remained unchanged at 3.1% in January 2021. Stay tuned for more news after this short break. Welcome back after the break. Minister of Irrigation Chamal Rajapaksa announces that the government has planned a mega irrigation project to facilitate the feeding of over 2,500 small tanks to receive water from the large irrigation systems of the country and expansion of the capacities of the small tanks to retain more water. Irrigation Ministry Secretary Anurag Dissanayake, who also joined at the press briefing, elaborated that the Treasury will be allocating over 7 billion rupees, while the Asian Development Bank will be funding for the part of the project.
2 major projects, Wayamba Mahayala, Uturumada Mahayala and Minipe Mahayala is one project. This particular segment of Uturumada Mahayala, we are investing approximately, it's a Asian Development Bank funded concessional lending facility had been provided to Sri Lanka, and it's $435 million will be invested. And this program was originally planned for 6-year period, and now we are accelerating and we are finishing all the projects, that is Wayamba, Uturumada and Minipe canals within 4 years, which will cater 1,500 small tanks from the Uturumada Mahayala North Central Canal, and Wayamba Mahayala will cater about 350 small tanks. So altogether, approximately 2,000 small tanks will be fed. The investment for both is approximately, including Minipe, it's around $800 million, and which we will be finishing within next 4-year period. And the small tanks are funding from Treasury funds, and we have been allocated for the small tank rehabilitation program for this year. We have given for the Treasury had allocated 7 billion rupees among 2 state ministries and the main ministry.
Central Bank allowed the Swarna Mahal Financial Services to open its sum of identified offices, including the head office, for a limited period of time. Central Bank also announces that the company has been authorized to execute its repayment plan to its depositors within that allocated time period.
The Monetary Board of the Central Bank has ordered to resume business of Swarna Mahal Financial Services for a limited time on a conditional basis only for the purpose of repayment up to 50% of the remaining deposits of the company. The repayment plan is monitored by the panel of management appointed by the Monetary Board, and Swarna Mahal has taken measures to implement the plan. Accordingly, 50% of the remaining value of deposits of Swarna Mahal Finance Services, after deducting 30% repayment already made and eligible compensation under the Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance and Liquidity Support Scheme, will be repaid commencing from tomorrow. In this regard, the depositors of Swarna Mahal Finance Limited are informed that repayments will be made only at the Swarna Mahal Finance Head Office branch at number 5 R.A. Dimel Mawatha, Colombo 4. Central Bank has also directed the Swarna Mahal Finance to inform the respective depositors through letters and telephone calls. Accordingly, the depositors are requested to come to the head office branch of Swarna Mahal Finance on the allocated dates relevant to the respective branches to collect the checks relevant to the repayment. CBSL also reminds the depositors come along with their national identity card and the original documents of the fixed deposit certificates and savings account passbooks.
Minister of Labour Nimal Siripala De Silva added that he directed the Foreign Employment Bureau to utilise the reserves in their fixed deposit accounts to purchase air tickets for the people who went abroad after registering with the Bureau. Labour Minister appealed to the Sri Lankan expatriates who wish to return to the country to register themselves with the respective consular divisions of the Sri Lankan embassies.
We have already allocated 30.6 million to the expatriate employees who are coming to Sri Lanka, and we are giving 50,000 rupees each for each person for a settlement account. But now I have asked the Bureau to increase that to 100,000. And the balance 50,000 will be a interest-free loan to them, which can be paid in within 1 year or 2 years. Then with the 100,000, they can start a small, some form of employment.
Now we have a subject expert at First Capital Holdings bringing you a detailed review on the stock performances for the past week along with a stock forecast for the coming week.
At the start of the week, Booz recorded its decline, continuing from last week, Friday. However, turnover recorded at 23.8 billion, higher since 2008, mainly led by Will, which contributed 71% to the turnover. On Tuesday, market witnessed highest intraday crash in history due to the profit taking by retailers. On Wednesday, market rebounded 2-week low, reversing the direction of the market to the positive territory amidst heavy buying interest. However, foreigners continue to be on the selling side throughout the week. For the upcoming week, with the release of further earnings, we expect further upside in the market, mainly led by the interest from the retailers. However, foreigners may continue to be on the selling side, and also we may expect to see some buying interest on the capital goods and material sector counters.
And that's all the news for today. Send us your comments, views and opinions via our email address and hotline, and log into our Facebook page and subscribe our YouTube channel to get the latest updates. With that, we are signing out from you today. See you on Monday with State of Business. Until then, take care. Good night.